either we could do a series of films for the 4Ls about, what coronavirus has meant for people in terms of extra loss, as it were, to some of their freedoms or some of their daily rituals or some of the things that actually make their life enriched. On top of anything which hopefully will never happen to our group, but perhaps some family member has died from the coronavirus, and we can look at that maybe even as a subset of films. But I was thinking about my sort of general life and what is it, if anything, that coronavirus has made me miss relative to what I've been doing before. And in my particular case, apart from not going out to have coffee and stuff, which is something very minor, my lifestyle has not really changed too much, honestly. But I should imagine, because I'm lucky to be living with my partner, but I would imagine that if you were living on your own, all that's happened is you've just got masses more pressure on your shoulders to say, well, how do I cope with this now? I'm coping with that, I'm coping with this, how do I cope with this now? So the notion that, particularly for older people who've gone through the war, particularly the Second World War, or any war, but particularly the Second World War, perhaps they're going to be able to relate some of those feelings to that period and say, well, actually, during the war, we did this, we did that, or, we did such and such. So that might give them some idea about how to deal with it. The interesting thing is really that in some ways it's clearly different from the war, because yes, there were certain periods when we couldn't do things because perhaps let's just say during sort of a bombing period. But in fact, in those periods, that actually brought people physically together, didn't it? Because you were down in a bunker or something, and you made your own life, as it were, within that context. So it's not so much that it will be exactly the same, but there would be some ways in which that particularly new set of circumstances develop new sets of behaviour. That's probably how I would look at it. And it might be interesting to look at that. And it also might be interesting to look at how those behaviours or the circumstances develop different types of loss, or develop the same type of loss. So we could look at both those. I mean, I'm a bit suspicious, to be honest, about sort of Boris Johnson talking about. I mean, he's really channeling his Churchill at the minute, and I'm really very worried about that process and about the idea of a war cabinet, because while it's a very, very serious situation, and the numbers may actually end up showing that lots of people have died that may not needed to have died. That's the right way of putting it, or that wouldn't have died in a normal way, let's say. Actually, we'll probably end up realizing that it is just another disease, and it's not the same as war, really. And we shouldn't be using war language to describe it.